Dr. BEGS seniors eat this tonight. Wake up with powerful legs in 12 hours. It's not just weak legs. It's something deeper. Have you ever stood up from your recliner and felt like your legs were slow to catch up? Not painful, not paralyzed, just like someone unplugged your power cord for a second. You glance down, waiting for your balance to settle. Maybe you even whisper, "Come on, legs," under your breath. And then you shuffle to the kitchen, slower than usual, wondering, is this just old age catching up with me? I hear that question all the time. From patients, from neighbors, from my Uncle Charlie, who still insists his legs are just a little sleepy. But here's the truth. What you're feeling isn't just about getting older. It's not just wear and tear or bad knees. It's something deeper, something surprisingly hopeful. You see, your legs are still capable of strength, stability, and even quickness. They're just waiting for the right signal. And that signal doesn't come from a pill or a personal trainer yelling, "Push harder." It starts right in your kitchen, at the breakfast table, with a few small delicious choices and a little science on your side. So pull up a chair, friend. Pour yourself a warm cup of something. Let's walk through this together, one small, hopeful step at a time. Part 1. The day Helen's legs forgot she existed. Helen is 74. She lives in a small town in Michigan where the winters are long, the coffee is strong, and the neighbors still bring pie when someone sneezes. One morning, Helen got up from her sofa to answer the door. It was her grandson dropping off some groceries. But something strange happened. As she stood, her legs hesitated, not in a dramatic way. She didn't fall. She didn't stumble. They just didn't move when she expected them to. It was like someone hit the pause button on her knees. She stood there for maybe 3 seconds. But when you're expecting your body to go, 3 seconds feels like forever. She told me later, "Doc, I felt like my legs forgot I existed. Now, Helen is no couch potato. She walks around her block every morning. She gardens. She even does those silly marching in place exercises she found on YouTube, bless her heart." So when she felt that strange delay, that little flicker of disconnection, it scared her. Not because it hurt, but because it was a reminder something's changing. And she didn't know how to stop it. Here's what I told her. And what I'll tell you too. This wasn't a muscle problem. It wasn't laziness. It wasn't weakness. It was a signal problem. You see, when we move, it's not just muscle and bone doing the work. There's a whole conversation happening between your brain, your spinal cord, and your muscles. And like any conversation, if the line goes fuzzy, things get misunderstood, delayed, disconnected. Science calls this neuromuscular disconnection. I call it your muscles falling asleep at the wheel. As we age, those nerve signals, especially the ones that tell your legs to stand, step, and balance, start to lose their zip. Not because you're broken, but because the connections that used to fire like lightning now flicker like an old lamp. It's not permanent, and it's definitely not hopeless. It just means your legs are waiting for a clearer message. The good news, that message doesn't come from some expensive machine or a complicated exercise program. It comes from your plate, from specific nutrients that help your brain and nerves remember how to talk to your muscles again. When Helen heard that, she laughed. She said, "So, I don't need a treadmill, I need a better breakfast." Exactly, Helen. Because rebuilding those connections starts inside, not at the gym. We'll talk about what she ate next, how her legs started responding in just days, and what tiny change you can try tomorrow morning to help your own legs remember you again. But first, let's understand the forgotten nutrient that acts like the voice your brain uses to talk to your legs. Ready? Let's go there now. Part 2. The forgotten nutrient that makes muscles. Listen. Again. So, there we were, me and Helen, sitting in my office with 2 mugs of lukewarm decaf between us. She leaned in and asked, "Okay, Doc, if my legs didn't listen because the message didn't get through, how do I make the message louder?" And I smiled. "Great question, Helen. Let me tell you about a nutrient almost no one talks about, but that your legs absolutely love. It's called choline, not cholesterol, not chlorine, choline. Now I know it doesn't sound glamorous. It's not on the front of a cereal box. But choline is the raw material your brain uses to make something magical called acetylcholine. Think of acetylcholine as your body's messenger pigeon. It flies from your brain down your spinal cord and lands at your muscles, carrying the message, move now. Without enough acetylcholine, your brain still wants to move, but the message never arrives. It's like trying to call someone with no signal. Now get this. As we age, our acetylcholine production drops, especially in the nerves connected to our legs. That's one reason you might feel fine mentally, but physically, sluggish, slow, or slightly off balance. So what do? We feed the messenger. And here's the fun twist. The best food source of choline is something many of you already have in your fridge. Eggs, not the whites, the yolks, that golden sunshine center that doctors told you to avoid in the 90s. 2 whole eggs contain over 300 milligrams of choline. That's enough to reignite the messaging system between your brain and legs. Not in a month, not in a week, but sometimes within a single morning. Now, back to Helen. I gave her a simple challenge. 2 whole eggs. Cooked however she liked, soft-boiled, scrambled, or poached in a little butter, eaten about 30 minutes after waking. That's it. No supplements. No fancy powders. Just eggs. She called me 5 days later and said, "Doc, my legs aren't tap dancing, but they responded. When I stood up this morning, they moved like they meant it. That's acetylcholine doing its thing. Here's what I want you to know. Your muscles are not broken. They're waiting for a clear message, waiting for a little love, waiting for a couple of eggs to remind them they're still in the game. And if you don't eat eggs, don't worry. We'll talk about plant-based options in a bit. But for now, remember this. A warm breakfast can do more for your balance than cold medicine ever could. Coming up next, we'll meet Wanda. She didn't believe in protein powders until she discovered the muscle-activating power of leucine. Let's head to Tennessee. Part 3. Wanda's secret weapon. The protein that speaks muscle. Wanda is 68. She lives just outside Nashville, where the tea is sweet and the front porch is sacred. She's the kind of woman who tells it like it is. Calls everyone hon. And once told me, and I quote, "Doc, I don't do powders. If it doesn't grow in a garden or moo, I'm not interested." Fair enough. But Wanda had a problem. Her legs were losing their spring, she said. "I used to chase after my dog, Buddy. Now he looks back like I'm the one slowing him down." She didn't feel sick. She wasn't in pain. She was just fading, like her muscles had dimmed from bright to nightlight. So I asked her, "How much protein are you eating in the morning?" She blinked. "Well, I have toast, sometimes applesauce, maybe some coffee. That counts." right? Not quite. Let me explain. Your muscles, especially after 60, don't just need food, they need a signal. And one of the strongest signals your body looks for is a little amino acid called leucine. Leucine is like the knock on the door that tells your muscles, hey, it's time to rebuild. Get ready. It's not just about bulk, it's about repair, stability, control. And guess what? Leucine isn't found in equal amounts in all proteins. You need to eat the right kind of protein and at the right time to flip that repair switch. I told Wanda that about 2.5 to 3 grams of leucine, usually found in 25 to 30 grams of high quality protein, is enough to activate something called mTOR. Don't let the acronym scare you. mTOR is just your body's internal muscle repair switchboard. When you eat leucine-rich food, it lights up like a Christmas tree. And the repair crews get to work. So we made a deal. Wanda would try one small protein smoothie every morning, Greek yogurt, a scoop of whey protein, a few berries, and some cinnamon. She called it her breakfast milkshake. I called it a biochemical miracle. 2 weeks in, she left me a voicemail. Doc, I chased Buddy again. I didn't catch him, but he was running. And so was I. That, my friend, is the power of leucine. It's not about becoming a bodybuilder. It's about telling your muscles, I still need you. I'm not done. If you're someone who skips breakfast or leans on toast and jam, you might be missing this simple, vital message. Your legs don't need more weight. They need the right word. And leucine is that word. Coming up, I want you to meet Bob. He thought beets were rabbit food until they became the reason his legs stopped feeling like cinder blocks. Let's travel to sunny Florida. Part 4, the beet that brought back Bob's balance. Bob is 72. He lives near Tampa. Florida, a retired high school teacher with the best backyard tomatoes I've ever seen. Now, Bob, bless his heart, is what I'd call a classic no-nonsense kind of guy. Doesn't believe in smoothies, thinks yoga is a conspiracy, and once told me, if it didn't come off a grill, I don't trust it. But Bob had a growing problem. His legs were dragging, not hurting, not swollen, just heavy. He told me, Doc, walking across the living room feels like wading through mashed potatoes. I chuckled, but I knew exactly what was happening. See? It wasn't his muscles that were failing, it was his circulation. As we age, our blood vessels, especially the tiny ones feeding the legs, start losing their flexibility. They tighten, like garden hoses left out in the sun. When that happens, blood doesn't flow like it used to, and that means less oxygen, fewer nutrients, slower movement. So I asked Bob if he'd ever tried beets. He looked horrified. You mean that purple stuff my mother used to make me eat on Thanksgiving? I thought that was a punishment. Fair. But here's the thing about beets. They're rich in nitrates, natural compounds that your body turns into nitric oxide. And nitric oxide is your blood vessel's best friend. It tells them, relax. Open up, let the good stuff through. Think of it like this. If your legs are plants and your blood vessels are the hose, nitric oxide is the turn of the faucet. Without it, you're just dribbling water. With it, full healthy flow. And suddenly your muscles bloom again. So we struck a deal. Bob would drink just half a glass of beetroot juice every morning. He could mix it with orange juice, water it down, even hold his nose. I didn't care as long as it got in. 2 weeks later, I got a text, Doc. My legs feel lighter. I even danced in the kitchen and no one had to catch me. Now, I'm not saying beets made Bob a ballerina, but they helped his blood move. And that changed everything. Here's what you can do. About 60 to 90 minutes before your walk, drink some beetroot juice Or eat one medium cooked beet. That gives your body time to convert the nitrates into nitric oxide. Then go for a 15-minute walk. Nothing fancy, just enough to get the engine humming. You might be amazed at how much lighter your legs feel. And if you still hate the taste, do what Bob did. Chase it with a sip of coffee and a grumble, but do it anyway. Because sometimes healing doesn't come in a capsule. It comes in a root vegetable your grandma used to sneak onto your plate. Up next, I want to tell you about Martha. She didn't feel pain or weakness. She just felt slower. And the reason why it wasn't her muscles, it was a quiet fire burning in the background. Let's talk about inflammation and how spinach helped Martha get her spark back. Part 5. The quiet flame that slows everything down. Martha is 75. She lives in Vermont, where the winters are cold, the maple syrup is warm, and the silence is something you can hear. She came to see me one fall afternoon with a look I know too well. It wasn't fear. It wasn't pain. It was something quieter, more frustrating. "Doc," she said, "I just feel slow, not sick, not tired, really. Just off. Like everything inside me is moving through molasses." That one sentence stopped me, because I've heard it in different words from hundreds of seniors, and most of them never know what's really going on. Let me explain. There's a sneaky little culprit behind that feeling. It doesn't scream. It doesn't show up on most tests right away, but it's there quietly burning and slowly wearing you down. It's called chronic inflammation. Not the big red swelling you get from an injury, but a low, constant flame in your body that messes with your energy, your muscles, even your memory. Think of it like this. Your body's immune system is like a smoke alarm. When it detects danger, infection, stress, toxins, it rings the alarm to fight back. But over time, with too much stress, poor diet, or lack of movement, that alarm gets stuck half on, and your system starts attacking healthy tissues like muscle even when there's no threat. It's like trying to sleep next to a smoke detector that won't stop beeping. You never get real rest. Your body never gets true repair. So what happened with Martha? Well, her lab results showed slightly elevated CRP, a marker of inflammation. Nothing dramatic, but enough to explain that stuck in molasses feeling. We didn't reach for pills. Instead, we reached for something green, dark leafy greens to be exact, spinach, kale, mustard greens, Swiss chard. These aren't just health food buzzwords. They're real. Powerful anti-inflammatory tools. Packed with polyphenols, chlorophyll, magnesium, and even natural nitrates that calm the immune system. So I gave Martha a simple protocol. Add 1 cup of sautéed greens to your breakfast or lunch every day. Drizzle a little olive oil on top. Maybe a squeeze of lemon. That's it. 2 weeks later, she came back smiling. She didn't say much, just walked into the office, did a little spin, and said, "Not bad for a slow lady." Huh? That's not magic. That's food. Doing what pills often promise but rarely deliver. Here's the takeaway. If you feel slower, heavier, or just not quite right, don't assume it's aging. It might be inflammation whispering through your body, and the best defense isn't in your medicine cabinet. It's probably growing in your garden or waiting in the produce aisle. Coming up next, I'll share with you a secret most people overlook. It's not just what you eat, it's when you eat it. And for your muscles, especially your legs, timing is everything. Let's talk about that beautiful thing called the anabolic window and how to make breakfast your body's best repair time. Part 6. The timing trick that changes everything. Here's something most people, even doctors, don't talk about enough. It's not just what you eat that matters for strong legs. It's when you eat it. Let me explain. Your muscles have what we call an anabolic window. It's a fancy way of saying There's a short time when your body is most ready to repair and rebuild muscle. And that time, it's right after you move, even just a little. So if you take a 10-minute walk or do a few stretches in the morning, your muscles start whispering, okay, we're ready. Feed us something good. If you give them protein during that window, even a simple breakfast like eggs or a small smoothie, you're sending the perfect signal. You're saying, let's heal, let's strengthen, let's rebuild. One of my patients, Samuel, 70, started doing a little morning routine. He'd walk around his block while his coffee brewed. Then he'd sit down to Greek yogurt with fruit and some nuts. After 3 weeks, he told me, "Doc, I don't feel like an old truck starting in winter anymore. My legs have kick again. That's the power of timing. Simple, gentle, but powerful. The biggest mistake I see? Saving all your protein for dinner. By then, your body is winding down, and it misses that golden window for muscle repair. So here's what you can do. Start your day with movement, even just 5 minutes. Then follow it with a meal that has protein and fiber. And do it consistently, because when you feed your muscles while they're listening, they respond, and your legs begin to feel like they belong to you again. In our final part, let's bring everything together, and I'll walk you through a simple morning plan to start tomorrow. Nothing fancy, just real food, a few minutes of movement, and a message to your body: I'm still here, and I'm not done. You're not weak. You're reconnecting. Let's take a moment to breathe. You've just learned something powerful. That weakness in your legs, the wobble, the slowness, the hesitation. It's not just age. It's often your body waiting for the right signals. Signals that come from food, movement, and timing. We met Helen, whose legs forgot her until she gave them eggs and a second chance. Wanda, who stopped fading when she started feeding her muscles protein with leucine. Bob, who cursed Beets, then thanked them for helping him move freely again. And Martha, who put out the silent fire of inflammation using greens and a drizzle of olive oil. And you now know more than most doctors explain in a rushed visit. Tomorrow morning, you can start simply: a short walk, 2 eggs, a glass of beet juice, or a few bites of greens. Nothing fancy, but everything meaningful, because your body is listening, and it wants to come back online, not for marathons, not for medals, but for you, for steady steps, for peaceful mornings, for dancing, even if it's just from the kitchen to the porch. If this video spoke to you or reminded you of someone you love, share it with them. Tell them you're not done. You're just reconnecting. And if you're willing, drop a comment below. Tell me what surprised you. Tell me what you'll try. I'll be here cheering for every single step you take, because your legs may have slowed down, but your life hasn't. Not even close.